I'm Sunny Cook, and I serve as president at MiraCosta College in San Diego, California. And I have the pleasure of serving as the chair of the AACC board for this year. Please join me again for just welcoming or thanking the NLS ACCT staff for all their work and the AACC staff for all their work in putting this conference together. So when you were invited to come to NLS, we emphasized that advocacy this year was significant and my script says in some ways unique. I would say in many ways it's unique this year. And we're so glad that you've been able to be with us and going to be through the end of today advocating as well. With a new presidential administration and 82 freshman members in the House and the Senate, we are reminded that the act of becoming strong partners with our elected officials for the benefit of our institutions, our students, and our broader community is a never-ending task. Over the past 2 days, we've heard from both parties and chambers of Congress, legal experts, researchers, and journalists, and we've celebrated the Congressional Community College Caucus, led by our representatives Gus Bilrakis and Joe Courtney. And many of us have met or plan to meet today with our members of Congress and their staff. But as you all know, advocacy does not end today. It does not end here. So we encourage you to advocate for community colleges back home with your state legislators and governors, and to continue to stay in contact with your federal representatives as well, because it's essential that we continue the relationships, the conversation, the education, the back and forth dialogue as we work together to support our students and our communities. Please tell them about the impact that your college has on their constituents, how your institution is a local economic engine, and how you engage your industry and your businesses to produce the future workforce of our nation. As we turn now to our final speaker, the plated breakfast will be served at the conclusion of the presentation. So to do that, you've got some snacks along the table, so please help yourself to some continental breakfast there. And at this time, I'm going to invite Greg Peterson, president of Salt Lake Community College, who will introduce our keynote speaker. Greg?
Good morning, everyone. I'll try that again. Good morning. That's better. As president of Salt Lake Community College, I'm a campus constituent of this morning's speaker. It is an honor for me to introduce the Honorable Congressman Burgess Owens. He has been a tireless advocate for Salt Lake Community College. He understands the critical role that community colleges play in educating more than 40% of the nation's undergraduate students. He's engaged with us in policy discussions and proposals that could benefit all community colleges and our students. As a son of a college professor, Congressman Owens knows firsthand the transformative power of higher education and is committed to helping all our students succeed and thrive in their educational endeavors. Congressman Owens has demonstrated his support of Salt Lake Community College by advocating that our campus receive federal funding in the form of community project funding and celebrating the partnership we have with the small business community. Congressman Owens represents Utah's 4th Congressional District, also known as the best district in the nation. No bias. Raised in the segregated South, he saw people of all backgrounds come together to work tirelessly against adversity. As a young man, Congressman Owens was one of the first 4 black athletes recruited to play football at the University of Miami, and the 3rd black student there to receive a scholarship, ultimately earning a Bachelor of Science degree in biology and chemistry. In 1973, he was selected in the first round of the NFL draft by the New York Jets. He played safety for 10 seasons with the Jets and Oakland Raiders, winning the Super Bowl with the 1980 Raiders team. After retiring from the NFL, Congressman Owens worked in the corporate sales world and relocated to Utah. Before being elected to Congress, he started Second Chance for Youth, a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping troubled and incarcerated youth. Congressman Owens now serves as the Vice Chairman of the House Education and Workforce Committee and as the Chair of the Higher Education and Workforce Development Subcommittee. Without any further ado, please join me in welcoming Congressman Owens.
Good morning. How you guys doing? So everybody's getting ready to get on home now, huh? After you bring all this weather in, you're now going to leave us with all this snow. Anyway, I have some prepared remarks I want to share with you guys, but before I do, I want to give you a little bit of my background so you can understand why I have such a passion for this particular industry of education. I was very fortunate to have been raised in the Deep South, days of KKK, Jim Crow, and segregation, but in a remarkable community that believed that the way that you succeed, the way you command respect, was to continue to win. You won through education, you won through running businesses, you won through developing remarkable families, and I had all of that. My first exposure to white Americans wasn't until I was 16 years old. So my pride in country, pride in family, pride in all the good things that we see as a nation was developed in that community of black entrepreneurs, teachers, solid families, and those who just taught us how to respect our country, respect each other. And the biggest, I guess, deal was how can you make sure that your name was one respected in our community? So I just want to say that all begins with education. We had some remarkable, I lived in the shadows of Florida A&M. That's my dad was a professor. He had gone up to Ohio State to get his PhD because he couldn't do it down south, and ended up teaching there for 40 years. Had another uncle who taught at Purview and then went on to University of Houston. My mom was a high school teacher. So I grew up in an environment of people who loved education. There is a special passion that educators have. In some kind of way, we have to elevate that once again. It's a profession that the excitement comes from seeing our students, the lights come on, and over time, seeing that they're going to succeed and know that you had a little piece of that. And that's a very special, first of all, talent, very special passion, and in some kind of way, we have to get back to old school education where our products are our kids, not the institutions. And I'll say this also, some kind of way elevate the actual industry itself, where we have some of the greatest minds being drawn to this industry. Some kind of way we have to get this done. We have to think outside the box. What does that look like? In every industry, I was in sales for 25, 30 years. And in that profession, the better you were at sales, the more you made. The better you were making contacts and networking and doing whatever it had to do to make that work, the more you made. I don't know how that looks like in the industry of education, but some kind of way we have to start highlighting the very best of the best. I'm convinced there are people doing very, very well in a corporate environment, running their own businesses, that would have loved to be teachers, to be educators. That's where the passion was, but when you can't afford it, you go out and do something else. So anyway, that's a side note. Just know that we're going to be extremely innovative. We've come to a point now that we realize if we're going to succeed as a nation, our kids have to be the smartest in the entire world. And what you do is prepare them for that. So I want to applaud each and every one of you. I want to applaud this industry. You have a certain type of student that many times is working full time, but they still have this dream. They still want to find a way to do better at raising their families and providing, and they still have a dream. And so they take that little bit of time they have to continue their educational process. We have to make sure that we're not only identifying, that we are highlighting this industry for those particular students, but also find a way that we can continue to increase the success that these students are having. So we're gonna work on that. Just know that you have a remarkable advocate in me. There's only one reason that I came into this. I never thought I'd be a politician. I've said for years, never, ever, ever would I be a politician. I think it was the last ever that got me, all right? But I'll say this, I was drawn to this because I have, as an example, my dad was my mentor, my hero, and he had a thing for young people that I saw him do. As he taught, as he started his businesses, he always had this passion to help young people, particularly those at risk. And I kind of picked that up from him. So I saw this journey as a way to help our kids that in the past are not being helped. And that's why education is my passion. I go 24/7 if I could. This is a place, if we're going to have a great country, survive, thrive, education is at the very core of that. It was Thomas Edison said, ignorant and free can never be. Our founders were remarkably wise people. They understood what it would take to be a free country. And at the very core of that are young people, older people who can think, who can collaborate, who can articulate themselves, who can be patient with others because they have confidence in themselves that it's okay to not agree on everything. That's what comes from education. We need to get back to being number one. Right now, we're not. So just know, guys, keep it up. Keep up what you're doing. Know that you have a friend. You have friends here in D.C. that wants to make sure this industry is, once again, the very best. Because once we do our job here, everything else falls in place. Okay, now, I'm going to go through my repair statements. First, again, thank you guys for taking this time out, for coming and doing what you're doing now to figure out how to be better at your industry. And I want to thank my friends for coming by and visiting. I am excited to have innovators to come to the office and talk about what the issues are that we need to get taken care of. My thoughts are very simple to this. Right now, we have some very innovative legislators in Congress, America First. Now, the only way that we can do our job to put together nice legislation, innovators have to come and tell us what it looks like. This is what you guys do. You think about it all the time. You think about what can I do to make it better? What can I do to highlight our success? Well, when you come to tell us what it looks like to be an innovator, then we can craft legislations around that. So my suggestion would continue to come and talk with your legislators, find those who really have a desire, a passion for education, and we have, I think, the next 4 years, a chance to make some really good things happen, to really highlight some great things. Okay, community colleges are the backbone of opportunity in our country. It is here where hard work meets real-world skills, where ambition meets affordability, and where the American dream is still alive and well. Today I want to talk about how our higher education system needs reform, how we can empower students with real choices, and why merit must be at the very core of everything we do. Let's start with something that should be simple. FAFSA. That should be very simple. Well, we found a way to break that up. I don't know how we did that, but we found a way. Filling out of FAFSA, millions of Americans rely on federal student aid to afford college, and yet the Department of Education fumbled the ball in rolling out the new FAFSA system. Instead, what's happened right now is 18 million students and families have been left in limbo, unable to make financial decisions about their future. This is totally unacceptable. I think about the young people who work hard, who discipline themselves, who finally are able to see, I have a dream that I can see a possibility of doing. All I need to do is just take this next step to get where I can craft myself. I can learn more. I can find opportunities. They work hard for years to get there, and all of a sudden, we break down in D.C. and they can't do it. I just wonder how many kids have we lost because they were on their tip of building their dreams, and we failed them in a big way. As a chair of the Higher Education Workforce Subcommittee, I promise you we will continue fighting until every student in America has access to financial aid they need when they need it. I will say this too, access to college means nothing if college doesn't lead to opportunity. Right now, we have over 8 million unfilled jobs in this country and nearly 7 million unemployed individuals. That tells us something is broken. Too many children, or too many kids, too many students are taking on mountains of debt for degrees that don't lead to real careers, and that must change. We need an educational system that aligns with our economic needs. And I'll say this, as a Utahn, I'm so proud of the way that we collaborate. And we have to do more of this. Our college and educational institutions should be collaborating. How to help our students to weave, to take their curriculum if they need to go and transition to another place, how can do that very, very effectively, efficiently, and with very less cost. I'm very proud that Utah is one of those places that we do collaborate very well. I'll say that the difference is when you have the students first, you figure it out. When institutions first, then we have the issues we're having right now, which is going to change. So keep it up. Keep the students first, and good things will happen as we move forward. We need to have an education system that aligns with our economic needs. That's why I'm fighting for policies that would expand workforce Pell, allowing students to use Pell grants for short-term, high-quality programs to prepare them for in-demand jobs. And your students are the ones that can really benefit from this. Everyone doesn't have to go to a four-year college. And I would say particularly those who already know what the real world is all about. They've had time to think through it. They realize now it's time for me to really get serious. I have a couple of years I want to get some good things done, and we should be able to feel that need for those folks. These are the kinds of reforms that we need to close the skills gap and give every student a shot at success. We also need to restore accountability in higher education. Colleges cost too much, and return on investment is too low. Families are stretching their budgets to send kids to school that's stuck in the past, while employers are desperate for workers trained for the future. That's why I support holding institutions accountable when they fail students and taxpayers. If colleges aren't preparing students for success, they shouldn't keep receiving blank checks. We had a chance to talk. Let's see, make sure here. What is it called? Time to completion. We're looking at addressing that. We should be, what you do and the time you take and the people that you are educating, preparing, sometimes it takes a little longer to do that because they're already working full-time jobs. So how can we make sure that the real matrix of success is shown? These are things we'll be working on. Merit matters. This country is built on the idea that through hard work, we can achieve anything. But we're seeing an educational system that increasingly abandons the merit in favor of ideology. Whether it's bloated, thank you. Whether it's bloated bureaucracies on college campuses or curriculums that prioritize activism over education, students being told what to think instead of how to think. Our nation is built on teaching our kids how to think, how to overcome obstacles, how, once you have a dream, to get to it, how through tenacity, focus, collaboration, that you come up with solutions. Not waiting for somebody else to give that solution to you, but figuring out you can do it if you work hard enough and keep the process going and always dreaming big. So we're going to get back to that. It's not this, by the way. We've not been dealing with education. Unfortunately, many of our colleges we've been dealing with indoctrination, and that's going to end. Thank you. We've also seen in the rise of anti-Semitism on college campuses, exposing just how deep the rot runs in some of our institutions. It is disgraceful that universities, many of them receiving billions of dollars in federal funding, have allowed this to happen. President Trump has made it clear, any school tolerating anti-Semitism should not receive not one single taxpayer dollar, and I couldn't agree more. I grew up in an age of watching what it was our country was trying to come together. I was fortunate to grow up in an age where I saw what it was to become a more perfect union, where we were initially, you guys remember the movie, Remember the Titans? That was my era. And you know, it's interesting because we have always worked on becoming a more perfect union. Some of our very best friends today that we continue to contact and talk to each other are folks that we had to overcome the prejudice of our fathers. We should never, ever go backwards, my friends. We're too good for that. We know what it is now to have things that we have in common. And those things we have in common should allow us to be able to be patient, accepting of others who might not agree exactly what we believe in. But we can have things in common, like maybe the Raiders. By the way, I know we have some young people in here. I have to tell you, there was a time when the Raiders used to win football games all the time. I know it's crazy. You don't see it. Oh my goodness. But once you find those things in common, it's amazing what Americans can do together. And I'll say the most powerful 3 words in the history of mankind are we the people. Because when we the people come together, we start talking together, we realize what things we have in common, we see each other's family as Americans, there's nothing can stop us. So we have to get back to that. Do not allow anything to divide us, my friends, because that's going to be the fight. That's going to fight we're up against. Any ideology that teaches us to judge each other from outside in instead of inside out is not American. We cannot allow that to happen to us again. We've been there before, and it's not going to happen again. Okay, we need real accountability, real consequences, and real leadership to ensure our students are safe and our campuses uphold American values. Our playbook for this Congress is clear. We will empower students and families with real choices. We will elevate skills and workforce readiness so students are prepared for success, not just saddled with debt. We will defend merit, fairness, and safety in education. We will demand transparency and accountability from our institutions. And for those institutions that have already done that, congratulations, it's going to be no big deal for you guys. Those who know what it is to have high standards and you have to get there to prove that you're doing the right things, you already know what it is. It's muscle memory. You got it. The ones going to have difficulty are ones that have never had to be accountable. They have no idea what that looks like, and they're going to need to do it if they want to keep their funding. So this is not about policy. It's about the future of our country. Education is the great equalizer, the key to upward mobility and the foundation for American opportunity. But for too long, we've let bureaucrats and elitists control the systems while students and families pay the price. This will end now. I'm honored to stand with you guys in this fight. Together, we'll rebuild an educational system that works for students, strengthens our workforce, and ensures America remains the land of opportunity. And again, I want to say from someone who grew up in a home of academia, and I should have taken it a little bit further. My mom was one of 13. I know, we some big families in those days. Her dad was a farmer. It's interesting because I would say most of her brothers and sisters were teachers. Because when I was growing up, that was a profession that was going to allow us to command respect from all the other Americans. And if you want to see what that looks like, when you ever go back and you see the old days of Martin Luther King and the marches, notice something about how they looked. Of course, they were fighting Jim Crow, but there's something about that generation that was commanding respect to show that they were articulate, smart, courageous, and disciplined. They had white shirts, dark ties, dress shoes, in the middle of the summer, walking down, demonstrating in the Deep South. And because of the discipline they had, which was not to respond to the name calling, to the fire hoses, to be disciplined. And part of that message was, if you can't be disciplined, don't join us. Nonviolence was part of their strategy because nonviolence allowed Americans across the country to have empathy. And that's our greatest strength, by the way. When people see others not being treated fairly, it's something in our DNA that changes the way we look at things. And what Americans did, they saw a group of people that many were not exposed to at all, but they said, this is not right. And they saw people that are articulate, smart, courageous, patient, peaceful, and speaking the language of love. And that's why the American people changed their hearts to make sure things change in terms of our laws. That only comes from educated people. That comes from people who can think, strategize, and be disciplined. When you're not educated, you know what happens if somebody disagrees with you? You pick up a stick and hit them. That's why we see so much going on right now across our country. We have failed to educate our kids. I'm going to wrap up. I just want to say this. This is one of the things I have really a passion for, because coming through a time when we had so much success, and 6 years later, look back and see the state of California, that 75% of the black boys cannot read and write. Now, when you have that kind of failure, guess what's going to have? You're going to have a mess of a state. You're going to have a mess of a community. You will not have men that will stand up and fight for their families and provide for their families. You will not have kids that have a vision for the future and willing to work hard to move forward. So education, what you're doing, thank you so much. You are the solution for our nation's ills. And when we look back on time and realize that we have become a more perfect union, it's because of things that you guys are doing every single day. So with that being said, thank you so much. Come by and visit whenever you can. Just know this is my wheelhouse. This is my passion. So I look forward to working with you. Take care.
Thank you, Congressman Owens, for your insights into the workings of Congress and the future of their endeavors in higher education and the workforce. Please join me in thanking Congressman Burgess Owens for joining us again this morning. This is a historic time for community colleges. This week has given us an opportunity to explore our next phase as this administration and Congress begins. We heard from a broad range of members of Congress, from freshman reps to long-serving leaders yesterday at the Congressional Forum. We engaged with new legal questions, considered the state of the economy, and heard about the latest political landscape. And as we look forward, we explored the impacts of demographic shifts and growing enrollments. And most importantly, we shared our voices with our elected leaders. I would like to thank each and every one of you for dedicating your time and your energy to making the 2025 Community College National Legislative Summit a huge success. Give yourself a hand. And as I've done all Congress, or all NLS, please do not forget to fill out the evaluation forms on the ACCT app. The staff goes through those in great detail so that we can help make these events have more impact for all of you. I would also like you to please fill out the ACCT Congressional Contact Form. Again, the more information that we can share with Carrie, Jose, Genesis, and that team, the better we are able to support each of your colleges. So on behalf of AACC Chair, it's been a long week, Sonny Cook and myself, we look forward to your attendance at AACC's annual convention in Nashville, Tennessee, this April 12th through 16th. I would also like to invite and encourage all of you and others at your college to attend the 2025 ACCT Leadership Congress in New Orleans, Louisiana, this October 22nd through 25th. This fall, we will join together to discuss reimagining community college, innovation for a changing world. We have a number of exciting speakers and valuable sessions planned as we explore the changing landscape of higher education. Registration will be open soon at acct.org. So good luck during your visits today. We wish you safe travels as you return home, and wait for it, the 2025 Community College National Legislative Forum Summit is adjourned. Breakfast is now served.